Hello, hello. This is David, and you're watching the Dave and Blue Show. This is my first installment of this new YouTube channel that I'm starting, and we are going to be talking all things Michigan football, a little bit of Michigan basketball here and there, but mainly Michigan football because that is my area of expertise and interest. And I would like to say that we're going to be going into 3 short topics today for this intro video, just again to introduce you guys to me and the channel and what we're going to be about. So the first thing is my name is David Pruden. I am 24 years old. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and thus a huge Michigan Wolverines fan. I completed my undergrad at Wheaton College in Wheaton, Illinois, and I am an avid Michigan football fan. I have been watching them since I was around 6 years old, so it's always go blue. I bleed maize and blue, so I've always been a big fan, and so I'm looking forward to the rest of this season because we are currently in the 2024-2025 season, and I just want to, share my passion with you guys and kind of talk through a lot of different things, analysis a little bit of updates on injuries, updates on games, some live reactions, that type of thing. So, just making this a page where a lot of people can feel welcome to talk about Michigan football, even some Big Ten football as well. And just kind of going forward, I will be posting and I will be having a schedule coming out soon for when I will be posting. And, I'm looking forward to this. It's been a big dream of mine to create content and be able to, speak to people, inspire people, and this is the first step in that. And the second topic we're going to talk about today is a little bit about how I've thought of the season so far and leading up to this weekend, which is going to be the Washington game. So we are 4-1 on the season currently. It has been not the prettiest 4-1. Obviously, there is that one loss in the column to currently number one Texas right now. But the first game of the season, we had Fresno State. I was actually able to attend that game. That was a lot of fun. I was able to go with my younger sister, and we had a blast. It was not the greatest win, but we won, so I'll take it. A win is a win. It is what it is. We had a few little issues with the team overall. The defense was a little bit shaky here and there. There's a lot of issues because we're replacing 18 starters, and so you have a whole new coaching staff, and everyone knows that this is midway through the season. We all know this and know these things, but just a little refresher for you. Second game of the season, we had Texas, and that did not go well. But hey, you know what? They are the number one team in the nation currently, and so hopefully they just keep winning, so that way further on in the season, as the college football playoff talks are advancing and as we continue to prayerfully win, we're able to say, hey, if we do have one loss or maybe 2 losses, at least one of those losses is to the current number one team in the country. That would be ideal. And then our third game, we had Arkansas State. We beat Arkansas State. Not as dominant of a fashion on the scoreboard as we would like, but most of their points came in garbage time in the fourth quarter when our starters were out of the game. So we relatively held them very, very low in scoring and things of that nature. And then we had a miraculous win against USC. Thank God for that. They can fight on someone else's turf because they weren't fighting on ours. We were able to win that game. A close one, 27-24. But thankfully we were able to basically hold Miller Moss in check. I mean, yeah, he did have 3 touchdown passes, but he did also throw a pick 6 to Will Johnson. I believe he had 283 passing yards, but he had I think 51 attempts. So to be able to hold him to only 283 yards and 3 touchdowns on 50 passing attempts is honestly quite impressive, given the fact that we were reshuffling our entire defense for the season, that type of thing. So we are, heading in the right direction slowly but surely. The defensive game plan was a little bit better during that game. There was not as much blitzing, just all out from defensive coordinator Wink Martindale. So shout out to the OG of the system, Wink Martindale. He's been interesting. He's a good coach. Obviously, he's got NFL experience, college experience. So, the team's learning and growing. The fans are learning and growing with this new team, new system. Head coach Sharon Moore, offensive coordinator Kurt Campbell. There have been some growing pains. Obviously, our passing attack is not potent at all, but then again, we are Michigan, and passing has never been our forte. Not because we can't pass, but because we basically willfully choose not to. But regardless of that, we were able to beat USC, and then this past week we played Minnesota, and that was also another 27-24 win. That was kind of a tough game given the fact that we were up 21-3 at the half and things were going well. The defense was playing well. We had 3 turnovers that game, and Jair Hill had an incredible interception. We had a strip fumble by Zeke Berry that he picked up from the receiver for Minnesota in the first or second quarter. I forget which. And then also we had a blocked punt, which was incredible, which set us up with great field position for a scoring drive. So we were up 21-3, and then the wheels and doors and everything else in the car and house started to fall apart because Minnesota went on a scoring run. They had a long 60-something yard punt return, and that was no good because they were able to score on that next drive, and they kind of just almost scored about 14 unanswered points there and put it up to about 24-17, and then they scored, and then we were able to have a field goal and win the game, that type of thing. And kind of questionable call on the onside kick because they said that the Minnesota Golden Gopher player was offsides and they had to re-kick. But, you know, after watching the video review and stuff like that, personally, I don't know if he was offside, but there was a Minnesota player who contacted the ball before it reached the 10-yard mark. So regardless, they would have had to call that it was illegal touching, and we would have either had to, they would have re-kicked regardless. So that's kind of a really brief summary of how the season has gone to this point. We are 4-1 again. We are ranked 10th in the nation now. 10th in the nation. Shout out the top 10. Let's go. We're in good shape right now. And we are heading into the third portion of our video, and the third portion right now is looking forward to this Washington Huskies rematch. So, as we all know and have all been thankful to see in this past year, we won the national championship against these Washington Huskies. The university, obviously not the same group of players they have currently because they have a new team here, pretty much the same as we do. And, you know, everyone is counting us out for this game. We are 2.5-point underdogs for this game, which me personally, I don't understand that. But then again, you know, our quarterback issues we've had, our struggles with finishing games out, and the fact that they have a very veteran quarterback, and obviously then people are going to count us out of that game. So we'll see how it shakes out. Washington is new to the Big Ten. They are currently 3-2 with a loss to Rutgers last weekend, which is obviously, you know, in previous years you'd say, oh, they lost to Rutgers. That means we're a shoo-in to win the game, but not necessarily, because this year I think Rutgers is 4-0, so that means that Rutgers is having some early season success, which is good for them, good for the Scarlet Knights. You know, they're not getting kicked around in the Big Ten for once. But we have our game coming up against Washington this year, and so, you know, we'll see how this game goes. The offense was showing signs of mixing up the playbook a little bit this past weekend, which was really cool. And Alex Orji had, I believe it was 84 passing yards this week, a touchdown and an interception. And I want to touch briefly on Alex Orji's play. So starting off, obviously the start of the season, we did have Davis Warren starting and playing our first few games of the year. And he was serviceable, but he had a lot of interceptions and things like that. And me personally, you know, it was rough to see, you know, being worried every time he dropped back, kind of thinking it would be an intercepting along those lines, because he did end up having 6 interceptions in only 3 games. So the coaches made the switch to Alex Orji, who I personally thought throughout the offseason was going to be the starter, because that's what it seemed like they were leading up to. But then things changed towards the last 2 weeks of fall camp, that Davis Warren had a better passing percentage throughout camp, and so the coaches ended up switching things up. But regardless, nevertheless, we are currently with Alex Orji right now, and Alex Orji, the first game he played was the USC game, and he was 7 for 12 for 32 passing yards, which is the fewest passing yards in quite a while. I don't know the specific number, but I believe it was within 1950s, was the only time there was a lower passing mark. And so we have, at this point, from the outside looking in, people believe we have no passing offense, regardless of the fact that we do have arguably the best tight end in the nation in Colston Loveland, who's been battling a little bit of injuries these last couple of games. But Nevertheless, Alex Orji has been steadily improving, and the 1 touchdown and 1 interception he had this past game against Minnesota, that interception that was a little bit behind, the throw was a little bit behind Colston Loveland, so he had to move towards the inside of the field, but it still hit him squarely in the chest. So that throw, honestly, from what I saw, I wouldn't say that was necessarily a horrible pass by Orji. It was more of a slightly behind the player pass, and it hit Colston Loveland in the chest, and the safety or defensive back for Minnesota was able to rip it away from him, and that was an interception. So, as far as the D1 level goes, you could say, oh, that's a bad pass. He underthrew his receiver. But it looked, from the vantage point that I had watching it and then watching the replay, that he did. It was an okay pass. It wasn't like he just threw it directly to a defender. So, nevertheless, our rematch here against Washington is going to be interesting to see. Given the fact that we're underdogs, even though we're ranked 10th in the country, it's kind of odd to me. But then again, I guess people have looked at our performances these last few weeks and wonder if Michigan can put together a full game, which we have not seen yet this year. And we are so accustomed to seeing full games, first and second half, offense, defense, special teams, clicking and firing on all cylinders these past 3 years, that people have come to expect that. And this year, since we shuffled the entire coaching deck pretty much, and a lot of players have also been cycled through either through graduation or the NFL draft, we are essentially playing with a whole new team, whole new coaching staff, clean slate. So right now, things are looking pretty good. This is a newcomer to the Big Ten, and they still have to get used to the style of play that we have. They are going to have to play solid run defense to stop Kalel Mullings, Alex Orji, and Donovan Edwards, because Alex Orji, as people harp on, has such a strong run ability, and also Donovan Edwards. Hopefully we'll see the coaching staff use him on the outside a little bit as a pass catcher, because, quite frankly, our best running back is Kalel Mullings, and he is running hard. He's breaking tackles. He's, doing a great job. And Donovan Edwards is running well as well, but he is unfortunately underperformed compared to how everyone, kind of considered he would coming into this season. And, that is no shade to him. It's just that, Kalel Mullings has really blossomed this year, as I kind of expected he would, given the fact that last year he ran for 6 yards a carry, I believe it was. So, we'll see how this game goes. I will give a quick score prediction. First prediction, why not? I will say that we win the game 28-17. I think that our defense will be all right, given the fact that Will Johnson and Josiah Stewart are going to be back in the lineup this week, hopefully. More than likely, given that they sat out this past week. And I believe that, the offensive coaches, Kirk Campbell, they're going to throw in just enough switching up of the play calls, a little bit of spreading things out, and, letting Orji play how he can play. I believe that we'll be able to get it together. I think the defense is going to put together a solid first and second half this week. And, that is what I'm looking at. 28-17. I'll stamp it right here. We'll come back and check after the game, but that's what I'm going with, 28-17 in our first road test of the season. Excited to go out to Washington and hopefully hand UW another loss to the Michigan Wolverines, just as the past 2 contests have gone, and make Giles Jackson regret the fact that he transferred. So anyway, this is David Pruden, and you're watching the Dave in Blue podcast. This is our first installation of many, many more to come. And, I just want to let you all know that Jesus loves you, and he has a great plan for your life. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And tell your mom, your cousin, your bro, subscribe, like, and comment to the Dave in Blue Show. Have a good one.